Hi, everyone. Welcome to our Diffit for Teachers Educator Spotlight series. I'm Matt Hamilton. I'm the community lead at Diffit for Teachers. Today, I'm here with Aileen Wallace, and we're going to be talking about how Aileen, for a number of years, has been using Diffit and a number of other tools to support differentiating for a growing diversity of students in the classroom, especially at the high school level and in the civics environment, where we're doing some different kinds of projects and serving some different student needs and really working to ensure inclusion and a seat at the table and ensuring that students not just have access to like grade level content, but really have opportunities to participate in learning and be among their peers and be a real part of the classroom community, which I always love to talk about. So before we jump into some of that, obviously our viewers are going to want to get to know you, and I'm super excited to get to know you a little bit more, Aileen. So if you could introduce yourself and tell us a little bit more about your background, how long you've been teaching, what gets you excited about teaching? Let's start there.
What gets me excited at the moment, long weekends. When I think about how long I've been teaching, it makes me feel really old because this is my first year. I ended up in teaching accidentally. It wasn't my initial, well, I tell a lie. I started out as a dance teacher. I know life happened. And I ended up at university as a mature student. So this is my 21st year of teaching. I started out as a history teacher. I'm now modern studies, which, as you said, is kind of like civics,
Okay. Yep, for sure.
just to help the American market.
Thank you.
Uh, I think I now know more American teachers than British. It's quite scary.
That's really
Uh,
interesting. You said you lived here for a little bit.
I did 2013 to 2015. We lived in New Jersey, but I wasn't an EdTech fan then. And I didn't know any of these American folks that I now know, or I would have spent time flying around the place visiting everyone. Now I have to wait for you all to come to me and bet.
We do. I've heard it's a good time.
It is a good time. I highly recommend it. What's got me excited for teaching the last couple of years is AI and EdTech. Teaching for me had lost a lot of its sparkle. I was dreading going in the morning, I'll be honest. But the last couple of years with stuff like Diffit and SchoolAI and God, and the others, I have got the fun, and so have my students. And I'm able to do things that I could not have done before. I mean, Diffit, everybody knows for differentiation. And all the sort of the first 15 years of my teaching career, differentiation meant here's my resource. I will now spend 3 hours trying to make two other versions of it and then pray it works. Whereas now, with the platforms we've got available to us, you can do it in minutes. And there's no obvious, oh, I've got that sheet and they've got that sheet, and it's all built in. And for me, that's bringing the excitement back.
I love that. Absolutely. So I want to talk a little bit more about that. I think differentiation is huge. It's something we need to continue talking about. And it is increasing as a need. And you and I have talked
Yes.
about this. There's more and more students that require additional scaffolds and supports. And as teachers, as educators, we have more and more opportunities to provide those supports. And I think that's important. And so I always kind of wonder 15, 20 years ago in teaching, was it really that we didn't have as much of a need, or is it we just didn't recognize it, we didn't talk about it, we didn't have the capacity? And so now it's acknowledging, and I think both are true, but acknowledging that like as teachers now we can and we should. I love that you're approaching us through that lens of joy, that to hear you say that being able to differentiate is giving you that spark back. I want to hear more about that. That is really, really interesting to me. I don't know if you have like some stories to talk us through of where you've seen that success and how that spark is lit up when you're able to really differentiate effectively or quickly. But
Yeah,
I don't know, I'm interested in that.
I think you're right. 15 odd years ago, I don't think we identified all the students that needed help. So everybody just got the same. And I don't think differentiation was possibly as useful as we thought it was. It also often felt like something that was done outside the classroom. So you would get an email to say, this student has these needs, and this is being done by the support faculty. And it all felt like it was being done outside of your classroom. Where now I think we're in a situation where you can control what happens in your classroom to fit the students that you've got in front of you. And we all know that students act differently with different teachers. You know, I've got one student who is the terror of the school. People see him come in the door and go, God, he's in today. And he comes skipping into my room going, Hi, miss, what are we doing today? And okay, he's not perfect, but he gets on with it and he tries his best. So with me, he's lovely. With everybody else. So I think the joy of it is, and I don't want to sound like a teacher handbook or anything, but it's been able to help the students that are actually in front of me and help them access what I'm talking about. And I'll probably get disbarred for it, but my focus is not on them passing the exam. I would rather they left going, I know more now than I did at the beginning, and I'd like to find out more about it. Because they might not be at the level the school course needed them to be at by the end of the year, but they're at a level where they're interested and they're curious and they go and find something else out themselves. And I think that's where the joy comes from. I used to love it when I was a dance teacher and you'd see the kids complete a routine or a little subset and they'd go running out the door still doing it. Or you'd see them telling their mum at the door, oh, we did this, wait till I show you. And when you get kids leaving your classroom talking about what they did in your classroom, that for me is the joy. That for me is the joy. And the EdTech platforms help you do that. And there's a lot of talk at the moment about taking cognitive load off of students. And I think we need to do it for teachers as well. So you're not spending hours and hours and hours prepping for a lesson. By the time you get to teach the lesson, you don't want to teach it. You're fed up with it.
Ah,
You want to go in with it with the energy that you went, oh, this will be a good topic, or that'll be a, and you want to keep that energy going so the kids pick up on it. And I think that's what things like Diffit is giving me now.
I love that. Yeah. And I mean, that's so key. I don't know how many times I was excited about a lesson. I put so much work into it. And by the time it was time to teach it, I got into the classroom and I think I was still excited about it, but my energy level was like, I had reached the end. I was done. I did my work. I prepped it. I planned it. I had everything printed off, ready to go. And the problem that I ran into is if students didn't respond with that level of energy, I immediately dipped. I was like, I guess all that work was not worth it. And that's not fair. That's absolutely not fair to put on them. But it's real. It happens. And they pick up on that too. And so immediately as soon as the teacher is like, oh well, I'm not excited about this anymore, they're not excited anymore. And they're never going to be. I love the dance analogy. I think about that all the time, the connection. Like regardless of what we're teaching academically in our classrooms, the goal should be to ignite that love of learning and that passion and that engagement in our students.
To do, we're meant to what make them want to learn.
We talk about lifelong learning, right? We talk about engagement and student-led learning, especially in EdTech circles. And I think that's the other thing. Like we talk about reducing cognitive load. We talk about making things easier for teacher, making things smoother. We talk about differentiation, but we also talk about engagement. And so as you're using some of these tools, I guess I'm wondering, in addition to the energy that is being returned to you because you're able to invest less in the planning and more in your students, how else are you kind of building that spirit of engagement and that love for learning as you build? It sounds like you're able to take some of that weight of planning and differentiation and that like the pressures of meeting academic goals off. And so I can totally see you. You're animated, you're lovely, you're warm. Like how do you build a classroom community where students love learning? They're excited to be there. They connect with you. That one student that everybody else is like, oh, here we go again, has a home in your classroom. And that's so important. And I don't, maybe I shouldn't be saying this. I don't think a tech tool can do that. Like that comes from returning the energy back to the teacher. So talk to us a little bit about that.
The tech tools are part of it. They're an important part of it for me, but it's not all of it. I came back from COVID and looked at my classroom and went, "Bleh, this is dreadful." So I did what I wanted in my classroom to make me feel good. So the house plants came in, and we had a fish tank, and I've got giant art posters on the wall, and I've got fairy lights, and I got my aromatherapy oils going in the corner. And I created a space that I enjoyed being in. And you see the kids coming in going, this is different. And they take a deep breath. Yeah, they take a deep breath and go, oh, it smells nice in here. Are the plants real? And suddenly we're having a conversation about the plants. What have I got in the oils, and how are the fish doing? And it's not just a room, it's a place that they go to find something. I sound like I'm blowing my own trumpet here, and Scottish people aren't very good at that. But it's true. It's the kids have said to me time and time again, Miss, this is the room we like coming into. They know what to expect. I have my routines, and they know that they can come in and just they're safe. The teacher who looks after a lot of the autistic students, and she was talking to them about how they found school and how they got on with different teachers in different departments. And they all said that my room was the room they felt safe in, that they knew the routines, they knew what was going to happen, they knew the room, and they felt safe there. And for me, that was just, okay,
That's powerful.
isn't it? I didn't set out to do that, but that's what happened. And I thought, well, if that works for them, it must be working for the rest of the class as well. And that's your inclusion, your differentiation. I was talking to somebody else about this recently. I think we now, how do I phrase it? We're not differentiating for the extras on the outside. We're differentiating to have everybody in the middle. I did a session with Dyslexia Scotland recently. I just joined as a viewer. And they were talking about the electric toothbrush originally being designed as a mobility tool. And think now about how many of us could go through to our bathrooms and we've got one in there, you know? And that's what education has to be, the electric toothbrush.
Design the thing for those who need it, and it's going to help everybody. It's going to help everybody. And I think you're right. It's this differentiation is a really misleading word because it makes it sound like we are creating different things, different opportunities for different learners. And I love that all your stories are linked here because it's creating a space where students feel safe. It's differentiating with the goal of not creating difference, but bringing students together. It's relieving the teacher's workload so that you have space to, connect with students on a human level because that's going to bring them in. That's going to open those doors for learning. I'm really interested in hearing you talk us through some of what you've used tech for. And I think what's really special about how you think about instruction is like you are so deep in ed tech, you use all these ed tech tools, and you're so humanizing with how you connect with students. And so walk me through one or two of these projects and talk about the tech, but also talk about the impact on students and like what made this valuable and
Okay.
how this contributed to this classroom community.
I shall do my best. So this one is I use with my first years. I think that's about grade 6 or 7, so they're about 11, 12. And we have in the modern studies unit, we look at being a global citizen. And the school has gold standard rights respecting, and we are the top level for fair trade as well. So we blend this together in the modern studies classroom. And this unit, this Diffit piece, was to allow them to dig in a bit further about how we link fair trade and global citizenship to build up to them doing a Shark Tank project where they have to design their own chocolate product. Doesn't have to be a chocolate bar. They can have anything chocolate they want. So what I wanted them to start thinking about was how does this global citizenship trade fit together? We've done some working class before we get to this bit, but this is them going, you're working on your own, you're working through this at your own speed. We've got our reading, the kind of reading that you always get at the beginning of a Diffit app. What I've done is because I got the chat, Diffit chat, to split it into paragraphs. So for dyslexic students or students who just have literacy issues, it's not a huge big passage, it's just chunking it down. vocabulary section, which is always handy, and it means I can anything I think they might need that are new to them, or if there's a particular term I want to reinforce, can't go wrong with a multiple choice question. What I'll also do is make sure that these multiple choice questions are then in a Kahoot, so they get that repetition. They're loving Kahoot at the moment. They're going mad for it.
It's so fun. I can hear the tune as you talk about it.
Yes, yes.
It never goes away.
It seems to get used a lot in the back of TikToks and things. So as you're scrolling through, you're like, where's that coming from? Now, then they've got, as it always goes, you've got your short answer question, you've got your Frere model. Frere models are quite new to us over here, I think. I think they're definitely an American thing, but I'm loving them for helping students delve into how they would use a word. So after they've worked all the way through, yeah, how to break it down and yeah. So after they've got all the way through that, they can do it at their own speed. They can choose what Frere model they want to do, so they can choose which word they want to do. We jump over to a School AI, and we have a space that takes them all the way through their Shark Tank product. They've got to design the product, talk about the ingredients, think about the packaging, think about how they're going to transport it around the world, price, how they're going to promote it in store or on social media. And because they've done all this background work with Diffit on this global citizenship and fair trade, they're thinking, okay, right, we can't fly it. That's going to be too much climate change. Or if we do fly it, how do we offset the climate change? So one of the teams, oh, it was brilliant. For every, I think it said like for every 5 bars we say, we'll plant a tree. So they're taking it that little bit further. That's their connection. So they've done their individual work in the Diffit, then they take it over to the School AI and they start scaling it up. So they pull in work they've done with the business teachers and stuff they've done with the math teachers to start, okay, if that size of bar is £2.50, what's the next size up? And they're pulling in bits from subjects all over the place without even realizing they're doing it. I'll have to send you the one group did a little stopgap motion video. Oh, it was brilliant. It was just, I hadn't asked them to do this. They'd just gone ahead and done it. It was genius. And we've had everything from chocolate toothpaste to chocolate trees filled with marshmallows. Yeah, they start with their Diffit of, okay, how do I connect my fair trade and global citizenship? And we end up with this incredible business marketing scheme. It's just genius. The things they came up with was amazing.
That's so cool. Yeah, and I think to kind of take it back to where we started, right? This idea that differentiation is not about pushing students apart. It's about bringing them together. It's about creating, and what you're essentially doing with your Diffit materials here is creating a really accessible, really relatable hook, right? We talk about hook, and I think
Yes.
I think the hook is the most important part of the lesson. That's our chance to grab students, to get them engaged. And what you're doing is setting up by making the content accessible, by helping them think critically about language and connection and interdisciplinary learning, you're setting them up to just launch. And that's where these ideas are coming
Yes.
from. And also I think creating the space to, like, everything we do, everything we want to do, we start with learning. And it's okay if you don't know. Like when we talk about global citizenship, when we talk about fair trade, like we all have to start somewhere. And that's in fact exactly how design works. It's how entrepreneurship works. Like when we get to the Shark Tank project, that's exactly what we're supposed to be doing, is like starting with a question, finding more information, and then we have space to get creative and really have fun with these ideas. I love
Yeah,
it.
because
It
they would
sounds
come to
amazing.
me and go, can we do, for example, the boys, chocolate toothpaste? And they were obviously expecting me to go, don't be ridiculous. And I went, no, go for it. Just run with it. See where it takes you. Yeah. Can we have a gigantic chocolate bar? Yeah, why not?
Has anybody actually
Go
made you
for
a
it.
chocolate product?
No, I have thought about reaching out to the home economics department because they are right below me and saying, look, if we come up with a good idea, could I have like a lesson or two and we come down and take over and see what I haven't quite got that organized yet. But I think that would be really good fun.
Often with EdTech, there's this idea that we're putting kids on computers, or we're just putting kids in front of screens and asking them to do things, and it's removing interaction, it's removing communication and stuff. So you're actually seeing the opposite. When you give them an opportunity like this, they're engaging
I've seen
more.
some of the best conversations is from helping each other. What did your feedback say? What did you do for that answer? And they start supporting each other.
That's so exciting. Very cool lessons. I think I just have one more. You've taken us on a journey, and I think anybody who's watching has like gotten lots of ideas and is probably really excited. I think the last thing I want to kind of hear you talk about is like, if we have a teacher who's like, I want to do all those things, but I don't know where to start, right? Maybe I haven't dabbled in ed tech, or maybe, I don't have aromatherapy in my classroom, stuff like that. Like, what do you have some recommendations for where to start, or some sort of like, what are your top 3 things to think about, or things that have been really successful for you, just to kind of like bring everything together and say, hey, as you're thinking about differentiation and project-based learning and design thinking and ed tech and all these different things that we've talked about, like, what can we do tomorrow?
What can we do tomorrow? Think small. Choose one class or one thing you want to do. Don't try and solve a whole course or a whole unit. Start with one class or one task or one unit and say, that's what I want to do. So you're using the tech to find a solution rather than having the solution and try and find a problem to solve with it. So start with something you need to tackle and go from there. Ask around. You will probably find somebody in your faculty, or if you don't, jump onto the wonder that is EdTech social media. There are so many lovely people out there on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. Just reach out and you'll find somebody. If you see anybody that's an EduGuardian, nab one of them because they will help you out. And we're now at a point with EdTech that, I mean, even the difference in the last 2 years, that when we started, you might needed to know how to prompt. You don't need to do that now. Just tell it what you want. Tell it what country you're in. Tell it what level you're doing. Tell it what you're trying to achieve, and it will then usually reprompt it for you. So again, we'll go back to this idea of cognitive load. You don't have to think about, oh God, I know my Bloom's taxonomy and I know this and I know that and I know the other. No, what is it you want to do? What challenges do your classroom face? Put it in, and then as the name suggests, have a chat with your chatbot. Don't be frightened to have a conversation with it. So choose one thing, find something that will help you with it, and just have a conversation with the chatbot that's in it. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't matter. Try it again. One of the first things I say to my classes whenever I'm starting something new is, this might work, this might not, we'll find out. And you're modeling learning by failing. So you're modeling that it's all right to get it wrong. So start small, do one thing, just have a chat with the chatbot and see where it takes you.
That advice, I think it really takes this whole conversation full circle, because we talked about bringing students together, creating space where learning feels safe, risks, we're willing to take risks, we're lifelong learners, we're excited about learning. And that's what teaching is about also, right? Don't be afraid to try something, pick one thing, lean into it and run with it. And don't be afraid to have a conversation. And so I think that's great advice. Everything you've said today has been wonderful and inspirational. And I just want to come and spend time in your classroom. So thanks for joining us. Aileen, thank you so much for taking the time. And I hope you have a wonderful weekend.
Do my best. You too.